Hey business besties, how y'all doing? Today I'm going to give y'all a overview of my new article, 50 tips to create content like a pro. I'm not going to go through the entire article. If you want to see the entire article, feel free to scroll down to the description box and go through it via my website and my blog at Talk to Tala. Now, if you're listening to this via podcast, there is also a episode on YouTube that I uploaded as well with the visual. If you are, into that and you want to see my beautiful face. So within this new article, I do share 5 different areas of content creation that I do think that you should learn how to master. Those areas for content creation include 15 types of content you can create, 10 tips to figure out what types of content to create, 5 content resource banks you need to create, and 10 tips to repurpose and recycle content, and then lastly, 10 strategies to boost engagement for your content. I'm just going to kind of skim through and go over some of my favorite tips and hacks that I actually shared in this article with you guys. And then, you can always comment down below. Let me know what you think. Also, feel free to like and share this. Tag me on Twitter at Touch by Ty if you actually enjoyed this video and you want to see more visual content and more podcast episodes from Talk to Tyler. So, within the first section of the blog, I go over 15 types of content that you can create. And some of those types of content include blogging, email nurturing, educational, fun fact, myth busting, podcasting, product reviews, behind the scenes content, and doing your own twist on trends. Of all the different types of content that I shared, I love the podcasting one because everyone doesn't have time to watch YouTube videos, read books or blogs, or be on social media to see everything that you're doing. But everyone can enjoy a podcast episode. Everyone can just put some headphones on and listen to you as they're doing all the other things that they love to do anyway. And you can make this very simple by just creating YouTube videos and then downloading the audio, or you can just directly create audios and upload them to a podcast forum. The next tip for the types of content that you can create. I love doing hack style content, especially when you learn how to position your own brand as a hack. So I do this with my print company when I'll be like, here's a hack for small business owners, or here's a hack for how to get custom shaped business cards. Here's a hack for how to get scented thank you cards. Here's a hack for how to get custom shaped cards with QR codes. Here's a hack for how to get sales the first time you meet people. And then I'll just like plug in my print company. I'll show them how to place their order, how to go to my website. Then I'll show them like the policies, and then like some final print projects, and I get sales from doing it every single time. So doing hack style content is actually one of my favorite types of video content to do. Sharing hacks with your audience helps them solve things that they do or may not know that they are experiencing, which can be lucrative for you because people will start to see that you want to help them reduce stress and make life simple for them. Teaching people how to live a more simple and fruitful life gives them more time to enjoy the things that they want to enjoy. And it also, just gives people more time to also enjoy the content that you make. So that's one of the reasons why I do love hack-based content. My most favorite and most lucrative type of content that I personally create is a combination between tip-based content and educational content. Dropping bite-sized pieces of content help your audience solve key problems that they have is actually the root foundation to growing your following online. And then combining tip-based content with educational style content is going to help you establish authority. It's going to help you build trust with your audience. It's going to also help you rapidly grow online, increase referrals, increase sales, and so many more things for your brand. So once you learn how to master that, you will eventually start to see the fruits of your labor pay off. Now, nothing with content marketing is going to be instantaneous. I don't want to set those false expectations for you, but doing anything consistently over time and perfecting that craft can lead to producing the results that you want to see. In the next section of this article, I go over 10 tips to figure out what type of content your audience actually wants to see. Something that a lot of business owners tell me is that they are just struggling with trying to figure out what their audience actually wants to see from them content wise. So I go over different things that I've done and I've helped other business owners do to help them overcome this. First of all, ask your audience what they want. Keep asking your audience what they want and keep setting the expectation that you will always ask them what they want and that you will always keep them informed. Doing this allows you to tap directly into what your audience wants to see from you. And it keeps them in tune and engaged with your content creating process. So you aren't just creating random pieces of content. Even when the response is low, keep asking. Keep asking. Keep asking, because it's going to establish that expectation that you will always ask. And eventually more people will start to participate in your surveys. You also need to get creative with how you ask. Don't just always do surveys with the polling tools that are on social media platforms, but also get creative and make a game out of it. Create visuals and ask them to choose a number of 1 through 4. Create multiple visuals, multiple graphics, multiple types of surveys, and just really get creative and really think about how you can make a game out of it so that they don't feel like you're surveying and polling them to collect data, even though you are. Some other things that I recommend doing is making a list of 25 competitors and completing a very in-depth competitor analysis. You can also use the tool answerthepublic.com, which is basically a tool that compiles questions that people type into search engines based on the keywords and key phrases that you type into the tool. So if you've never used answerthepublic.com, I highly recommend it. After that, you can use Keywords Everywhere, which is a plugin that you can use on Google Chrome and Safari. You can use it on iPad, but I really recommend using it on a computer. But it'll work for you either way. But basically, Keywords Everywhere is going to help you with running ads and also helping you figure out what keywords people are searching for right now to make sure that you are using keywords and creating content that is actually going to drive traffic back to your website. Of course, you can always review your own analytics, and you always should. I like to review my analytics bi-weekly just to make sure that my content is actually aligning with my goals. The next thing I always recommend doing is creating a content tracker. And in this content tracker, you're going to track what you shared, when you shared it, why you shared it, the results that you got after 24 hours, after 48 hours. Did this produce any sales? How does this align with your KPIs and your metrics? And what is this going to do for your brand long term? Next, I highly recommend finding some relevant case studies. In the article, I did share 2 case studies that I really love for marketing. One was how handles scale from 0 to 121 locations with HubSpot. The next case study I shared was how Fractal earned links from 931 unique domains from Porch.com in 1 year. So if you haven't heard of those case studies, I highly recommend them. They both share different marketing strategies and tactics that they use to get free PR and media coverage, which accelerated their growth. The other case study shared how using a new tool and getting into marketing with additional sources helped them actually scale their physical brick and mortar locations and scale across the United States. So if you have not checked those out, I highly recommend. The third section in the article goes over content resource banks that you should create. The different content banks I go over is a content idea bank, a title bank, a hashtag bank, and a content strategy bank. If you have not heard of those, a bank is basically where you compile a ton of resources and data into one centralized location that you can always go back and reference. So for example, a content idea bank is a long-running document with all of your content ideas, and it has different concepts that you want to try, different ideas that you have, different visuals that you want to create, regardless of budget, regardless of manpower, or any resources that are required to create this. Because even though you might not be able to create something right now, you might be able to better create it in the future. So it's better to just write the idea down and to have it for when you need it than to need it one day and to not have it available to you. A hashtag bank is basically basically where you compile all of the hashtags that you plan to use on platforms that require hashtags like Pinterest, Instagram, and TikTok. And then you organize those hashtags by pillar, and then by cluster, and then by content type. When you're doing these hashtags, also, you don't want to use more than 5 to 7 hashtags per post on average. So doing this can also help you make sure that you're not doing that. It can also help you make sure that you're switching up your hashtags enough to avoid being shadow banned, because you also don't want to use the same hashtags every single time that you post. If you want to learn about the other content banks that I reference, be sure to scroll down in the description box and click the link to the article to get full access to everything. It's 100% free to you. Next, I cover 10 tips to repurpose and recycle your content. Of these 10 tips that I shared, I'm kind of scrolling through the article right now, and I think one of my favorite tips is to actually save links and screenshots to comments where people ask questions. Even if you have time to kind of skim over it and answer that question right now, when you have more time, you should actually sit down and create content answering those questions more in-depthly to add that additional value to your audience. You could take it a step further and use those questions as talking points in your YouTube videos, TikTok videos, Instagram carousel posts, Instagram reels, Instagram live posts, Instagram feed and story posts. Sorry guys, I don't use Instagram that much. If you follow me on Instagram, you know I am so inconsistent with Instagram, but I do show up on Twitter every single day. So forgive me if I kind of like repeated a couple things right there, but you get the point. Like, you could take those questions and use them as talking points, and you never know, other people probably have similar questions to whoever asked that question. They're probably just the only one who asked. Another tip that I share within repurposing and resharing your content is to be prepared to turn high demand content subjects into YouTube videos. And what I mean is, if you create a post on Instagram and it gets a lot of engagement, turn it into a YouTube video. If you share a TikTok and they keep asking for a detailed tutorial video, turn it into a YouTube video. Drive that traffic to YouTube, because YouTube is going to pay you more for your subscribers than TikTok is. If you have a Twitter thread that goes viral, make a YouTube video and then drive that traffic back to your YouTube channel. And then once you get done with that, the next tip would be to upload that YouTube audio to Otter AI, and then you can turn that YouTube video into a blog post. You can also download that audio and upload it to a podcast, because uploading your audios to things like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Pandora is going to give your audience those extra push notifications to be notified of your content being shared in more ways and in more places. This is also going to help you with the last tip that I share, which is learning how to diversify platform visibility. Learning how to diversify platform visibility means that you are going to be visible and accessible on as many platforms as possible. Most people who are shopping online have to see your content and your brand in 7 different ways on 7 different platforms. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be on 7 different platforms, but they do need to be in contact with your brand in 7 different mediums. So for example, people can contact my brand via Twitter at Touched by Ty, via TikTok at Tyler Chanel and at Touched by Ty, via Instagram at Touched by Ty CA, and at Tyler Chanel. And then I also blog regularly, consistently, usually multiple times a week, but at minimum once a week I blog. I also have an email list that I prioritize contacting with as well, and I also podcast. So having those multiple ways that people can not only contact me, but also consume my content and build that sense of community and allow people to get to know me as a business owner and a content creator is going to increase the likelihood of someone buying from me, because it is going to build that trust much more rapidly. So if you're not doing that, I highly recommend it. If you only have one platform mastered right now, I really suggest going into email marketing next instead of starting a second social media platform, because if you have an email list, you could take that email list with you everywhere. You can always email them once a week and, encourage them to follow you and create a game out of it, give rewards, and, just different things like that to get that extra incentive to follow you on different platforms. Let's see. The next thing I went over was tips to boost engagement and content. With this, I really had to get creative because it really made me think about the fact that I have had over 5K followers, right, for at least like 3 or 4 years now. Now I'm at about 15K to 16K followers on Twitter. So once you get, I feel like over a good amount of followers, you really kind of become disconnected from how hard people have to work to build engagement. So I really had to get creative with this. But I thought about some of the things that I did, and some things that I did was I started focusing on email marketing and then redirecting that traffic everywhere. I had to learn how to be social on social media. So when I would go and engage with people, I had to learn that I can't go in comment sections and spam people, but I can go in comment sections and add value, add to the conversation, add additional commentary, add additional facts, and share additional resources as well. I can share memes and I can share quotes and I can make people laugh, but I wanted to avoid spamming people. So I had to learn how to be social on social media. I joined Facebook groups that were dedicated to my niche, but also that my customers were in. So I wasn't just joining marketing based Facebook groups. I would also join crafting groups, and I would join educational groups and groups that creators and creatives were in general. And I would look for posts where people were complaining about not getting sales, and I would drop gems to them, and I would get clients like that because I wasn't in the groups directly promoting. I was just in the groups offering assistance, and people would naturally start being like, but how do you know this? And I would tell them about me and what I do, and then it would lead to them being in my inbox and setting up a consultation. And that's something simple that everyone can do. Facebook groups are still a thing, and that's something that you can go and start doing right now. I also recommend making a list of 100 relevant accounts that you can engage with regularly. And making this list is going to give you 100 people that you can log in online and talk to every single day. And these accounts are going to be people who share content regularly, and who create content that your audience loves, and who also create content that you will love. So learning to be social with them won't be hard for you. It'll actually come very natural to you because they're already creating amazing content. This is also going to be a free way for you to get put in front of your audience and to also get access to them without being charged for access to them, as long as you learn how to create a dialogue and convince these account owners to actually engage with you. There are a ton more tips that I shared in this article, but if you like this brief overview, comment down below, like this video, share the video, let me know if you want to see more blog overviews to decide if you actually want to sit down and read an article that I published via my blog. And if you want to see more podcast episodes, share this podcast episode on Twitter, tag me at Touch by Ty, and let me know. I love podcasting, creating content, and creating videos for you guys in general. I'm always happy to do this for you. As always, Business Besties, I'll see you guys on the timeline on Twitter, and I cannot wait to bully you.